All right, we're live. I'm trying to get this one part off here. Hold on. Here we go.
There we go.
There we are. Hello,
Yay, we're
Sarah.
here.
Did you
Hello.
did you hear did you hear all the intro? Because on my side I couldn't hear squat. Did you hear
Yes,
it?
yes, it came. Yep,
Oh,
came through good.
okay. Well, the squirrels up here with the internet aren't working right. I couldn't hear it. So as long as you heard it, that's fine. But how are we
Yes,
doing, Sarah? We doing all right
doing
down there?
good. So it's been a couple of weeks since we have been together. So there's been some great races that have taken place since then. Going back to Thanksgiving, I think we did have one right after Thanksgiving. Down here in Ocala, we have the Turkey Trot, and that attracts a lot of runners. I think about 2,000 runners will sometimes sign up either for that live race or for the virtual. I went rogue and did one instead called the Drumstick Dash. So I'll show you the medal for this. And it's kind
Wow.
of an interesting concept. So this is a race series called Relevant Running, and they do live virtual races. And what that involves is you have a scheduled day for the race. So we all ran on Thanksgiving morning, and you all start at the same time, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And then you have to submit your results to the race director by 11 to be eligible for age group awards. So people from throughout the country can run in these. And then as long as you submit your time, proof of time via Strava or a similar app, you're eligible for age group awards. So I ran the drumstick dash. I did this on our local track here in town. Managed to come out second place, female, with a time of 28:55. And for an old person, a middle aged person, I was very pleased to get a sub 35K and to come
Great.
out second. But this is made out of a recycled material, so it's very lightweight. It's not the traditional metal. And then it does come on a lanyard here that says Drumstick Dash. And then this past weekend, we had here in Ocala the Christmas parade, the Ocala Christmas parade. And before the Christmas parade each year, about 4:20, we have a 5K that goes down the parade route. It's always a little bit intimidating because you're running in front of a lot of people that aren't necessarily there to support you as a runner. They're there for you to watch the Christmas parade. They just want you to finish up. It's a very hilly course. It goes down and up, down and up. We go down one direction, come back, go down the opposite direction, come back to the finish. And this year was very challenging because of the heat. At the start of the race at 4:20, it was 84 degrees actual temperature. It feels
Wow.
like temperature of 88. It's a very, very toasty race. They did have one aid station along the way. I did not take any kind of aid. I probably should have because it did get quite hot. But this year, the theme was to honor local heroes or people that are important in our lives, the EMS, the military figures, and the race shirts were red, white, and blue. So this is what the medal looks like, and this is an actual heavy medal. And the ribbon does have the Christmas theme on it there, so you can see the reindeer for the
Yeah.
reindeer run. And then the awards for that one, if you did place an age group, you got an additional medal here that had your placement on it. So I did come in second place in that one also, and then got the ribbon, the red, white, and blue ribbon, since it was saluting heroes. Coming up this weekend, there is the Mount Dora Race Series. They have a 5K on Saturday, a half marathon on Sunday. And that race does attract a lot of people. I'm not running it this year. It is a somewhat challenging course because it is quite hilly, but just a beautiful little town. Mount Dora is a very quaint town. People dress up in costumes along that route. You have people that come out, just people watching the race, and will sing Christmas carols. So a lot of fun. And then coming up, of course, at the beginning of January, we move into the Marathon Mania event. So that's the next big race in the Destination Training Race Series.
Okay, that this means that I come in because you stopped talking,
I'm
right?
handing over, so I have Paul. So take advantage of the silence, and you can jump in at this
Wait,
point.
wait,
No,
wait, wait. Okay, I got a question. I got a question. It's on my
you
sticky
didn't jump
notes
in
here.
fast enough.
I
Both
I, I
Craig and
know.
I
It's a.
Most,
older than you. That's why I have excuse. But
yeah.
anyway, best damn race. I wanted to ask you on the relay races. What do you think?
Yes.
Are they going to continue? Is it something that's real popular? Does it pull a lot of people? Because best damn races have one down at Starkey on April 11th or something like that.
I
What do you
think that
think
the
of those?
relay makes more sense in triathlon than it does in running, unless you're doing an ultra distance. So this past weekend, or maybe it was the weekend before, we had down here in Florida the Ragnar events. And that
Right.
is typically about a 24-hour event, and each person winds up running anywhere from 15 to 18 or more miles on trails. And so, since it's a 24-hour event, you would need to have a relay option at something like that, unless you're an ultra runner. But for a marathon, I have seen relay options for marathons, and that just kind of strikes me as odd to have a relay for a marathon. I'm not sure what distance the BDR Starkey Park is. Do you know what
I
distance that
I
relay is?
I I thought, oh man, it was like 30 or 50 miles and maybe four people. I'd have to check. I just know
Hmm.
they're having it there, and I
Hmm.
know what you're saying about the triathlons with the relay. I don't know if they're trying to copy Ragnar or
Hmm.
trying to dip their feet in the water, so to speak, to copy Ragnar. But 24 hours, I mean, that can be expensive. But I imagine they pay big bucks to be in the Ragnar
Sure,
relays, so
sure.
that's taken hold on that. But you had mentioned best damn race is going pretty good, and but the what was the other one? The rock and roll marathon. You
Hmm.
said there
Hmm.
was a few missteps with them. Is that still occurring?
Yeah, so with rock and roll events, I've seen quite a few cancellation of rock and roll events. It just seems a little bit inconsistent. Some of them run off without a hitch, attract a very big crowd. And then I believe it was Seattle that canceled, and maybe one in Savannah that canceled. And just on some of my running sites, I have seen people mention to be wary of signing up for the rock and roll events, because there is a good chance that you might have a cancellation. So I'm not sure what's going on there. I thought that it is an issue with the town itself that they're running in, a COVID issue with the town and getting permits. But it does seem to be a little bit less consistent than it used to be. There was one year that I ran in one year four different rock and roll events. And it's kind of neat because when you do multiple events in the same year, I did a St. Pete one, I did rock and roll Nashville, I did rock and roll DC. And when you do multiple events, you get a cumulative medal. So if you do two events with them or three events with them, you'll get a special medal for that. If you do five events in a single year, you'll get a bonus medal. So that's kind of fun, but they just have had a few little side steps this year.
What do you think? Where the trends go? Is it more big events? 10,000. I know there's one up in Jacksonville, and I'm trying to think what the heck the name is. Not the Donna, but it was another one. It takes off in January. But is it the big events, the medium ones? I know with the large events, the cities are getting real touchy about the COVID. But not only that, they're getting very very expensive. To give you an example, Piedmont Park in Atlanta. If you do a 5K up there, uh, you really don't have to get police or anything like that. There's a pretty high permit fee. But you go outside Piedmont Park on the roads, you better have 5,000 big ones for the police and the permits. I
Wow.
mean, it's not cheap. The other one is Alphea.
Mhm,
It's the trail running in Hillsboro. I checked
mhm.
on that for the park. If you have a run like a relay, it's $3,000 to rent a park.
Wow. Wow.
So the counties, it's different. Pasco's different than Hillsboro and different than Hernando. But when you get up in the politically correct cities, they're real tough. I mean, they are tough. So I
Yeah,
see. Maybe
BDR
that's why. Go ahead.
BDR does the Safety Harbor. That's my favorite BDR race. I've done BDR New Orleans before. I've done Jacksonville, Orlando. But the only one that I really go back to every year is Safety Harbor. And they do have a very lenient cutoff time. So you have people out on that course for quite a while. And it is open road. So there is a police presence there. And I can imagine that that does get quite costly to have the police out there. It starts very early. I want to say that we started by 7, if not 6:30. And then I believe their cutoff time is probably about 4 hours. And you have people out there for that full length of time. And it was on a road right there in Safety Harbor. We ran the road almost the entire race, so they would have to have police presence.
Yeah, the race director at St. Pete, which is in November, I believe, he told me he has to have 3,500 runners to break even.
Wow.
So either that or he has to have a lot of sponsors
Mm-hmm.
or donations, whatever. But they're expensive. You go to these cities, you pull a lot of people in, but the runners don't realize how much money it costs to put
Mm-hmm.
those on. You
Mm-hmm.
know, it's the one we did up at Hawthorne. There's no permit fee. We didn't have to have any police or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
and I like those. We had
Yeah.
350. So so you have to weigh big, large events, large amount of runners versus an average amount and no fees. But the large ones have a lot of different fees
Mm-hmm.
that you have to cope with and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So what else? You're not doing Mount Dora. So what? I know you travel out of state. What's the next race you're doing?
So out of state, I'm doing 2 in January. I'll do the Marathon Mania, which is the first week of January, probably just a 10K for that one. And then I will be running my 50th half marathon, Defusky Island up in South Carolina. And that one is kind of neat. It's an island that's very close to Hilton Head. I've heard great things about that race. I've never been there before. But you stay in Hilton Head and then you take a ferry over on race morning to the island. The island has no cars on it, just golf carts. So you're not allowed to drive on the island. You can rent a golf cart if you're staying on the island. And then we run the race and then take the ferry back to Hilton Head. So that'll be number 50 for me. And then at the end of January, I'll be doing Gulf Shores, Alabama. And that's part of my 50 state series. I'll be knocking off another state by running Alabama. South Carolina is a duplicate state for me. In January, also, we have one here in town, the Awesome Sauce Series. And that's also just kind of a no frills type of race. It's a great series, very kind race directors. It's a lot of fun. And it's a looped course. They have all different distances. They have 5K, 10K, half marathon, marathon. And I believe they're doing a 50 miler option as well. And you just keep looping the course. It's kind of the honor system. Every time you complete a loop, you get a rubber band or a popsicle stick to signify that you've done a loop. And then you just keep track of how far you've run. When you reach your last loop, you report into the race director to get your cumulative time. But they have
I,
great snacks there. It's just a really fun experience. Nice metal. There's no shirt there, but nice metal and good atmosphere.
I just saw that when you said the popsicle sticks. I can imagine you're going around there 10 times. How did you do? I did 10. Can you count them?
Yes. And so the rubber bands are a great idea. So you put the rubber bands on your wrist, each loop you do, and their loops were about 1.2 miles. So depending on how long your race is, you do a lot of looping. It is a circular course, so they let you go in either direction. Everyone starts going in the same direction, but then on your next loop, if you want to go the opposite way, you can. And the one good thing about looping the course is you get to see the same people over and over again. So you pass people, they encourage you along the way, and it's a lot of fun.
Well, that's good. Do you
Yeah.
think? I guess if they do well with that, I guess loop courses people don't mind doing a looped course, like if they're doing a marathon, for the one up in Florida Track Club has one up in Hawthorne where you do 4 out and back to to complete the marathon. Nobody seems to mind that. So, and I guess Groom, they do some loops out there,
Hmm.
to do the 50 mile, and there was one in Ocala that did 13 loops. I don't think does is there a Ocala half marathon anymore? Is DRC still doing that?
I don't think they had one last year. I could be wrong. I haven't seen anything yet about an upcoming one in January, but I haven't looked at the DRC site recently, so I'm not sure if they're running that one. But talking about out and back courses or looped courses, actually, there's a nationwide series called Mainly Marathons. And they have a lot of those types of courses that are in relatively small parks, somewhat no frills, and you run multiple loops, see the same people over and over again. And they'll do like a New England series and do races in states that are neighboring each other. And a lot of people that are trying to get their 50 states will do those Mainly Marathon series. So you can do a lot of races pretty close together time wise in that same geographic area. But I was interested in their New England series maybe for 2023 to knock out some of those northeastern states. They also have a riverboat series that's more the Mississippi, Louisiana, those states.
Now, I got a question for you. I know you well with the triathlon. You cycle. Is there any? Do you think there's a place, Ocala or Spring? Do you think there's a place for having a cycling event? Because I know Ocala doesn't have that cycling event anymore, right?
No, Ocala has the Ride for the Arts, and I think that they didn't have it in 2021 simply because of COVID. But that is one of the main cycling events. I was trying to think if I could, there were any others, and I don't think so. I know that DRC has some in Inverness on the Coochie Trail. The
Right,
challenge is they're doing construction on that trail right now. The challenge with doing Santos Trail, which is our local trail here in town, is the trail is not very wide. And so if you were
right.
doing
I've
a
been
race, it'll be very difficult to do a race. It's also a somewhat technically challenging trail because you have so many curves. It's up and down, the train's up and down. And there's a lot of pedestrians. There's also horse traffic out there, and so it would be very difficult to do a trail road race here in Ocala. If you actually got onto the roads, you would run into the issue of police monitoring the intersections.
Did you say with the Coochie they're doing work on with the Coochie?
Yeah, I think they're extending it.
Oh, which direction? South or north? South?
Not sure. Not sure. I know they're going to make it into one massive trail, one extremely long trail. And I know
Hmm.
I'm on the Withlacoochee, Friends of Withlacoochee website on Facebook, and they're posting information about the updates and saying don't cross over these construction barriers. And they do
Right.
for their clean air ride, they typically do one in the spring and one in the fall. And you can do a century option, so you can do 100 miles. And that's just a little bit challenging right now because of that ongoing construction.
That's like an out and back, the Century, I guess.
Two different directions. So you would head one way, and I think it's also the honor system. I did the metric century, and basically you just, as
Mm.
long as you hit your distance, you are good. It's not a race, it's just on your own. But with the full century, they would head in one direction for a certain number of miles, come back, and then head in the opposite direction to get the full distance.
They get a lot of riders for that.
A lot of riders. I
Yeah.
didn't know about it this fall. I would have probably done it this fall. Normally, I do that one, and they get a lot of riders. If you're doing the longer distances, they let you start early and you check in early. You get a race bib for that one just so that they know that you can stop at the SAG stops. They'll
Right.
give you a bib, but otherwise, it's not competitive. It's just the honor system.
Mm. Yeah. That if you, I've done, with the Century ones and a loop and so forth, but they're tough putting out the hydration stops, rest stops.
Yeah,
Usually it's like
yeah,
18 to 20 miles, and you got to have somebody there. So I'm
sure.
assuming with those particular cycling, not races, but events, they have food and hydration
Yes.
drinks. So they are serving food, right?
Yes, very elaborate sag stop. So you have a lot of things. You can fill your water bottles. They'll have like an Oreo with a banana and peanut butter on it. So you get your potassium, you get your protein, you get a boost of sugar, lots of fruit, lots of citrus at at the sag stops. So a bunch of stuff. They are serving food at those. Salt to replenish sweat.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. A big salt lick, everybody can, no, but they they'd have to have food there. So,
Yes.
and yeah, a lot of peanut butter, oatmeal raisin cookies. There's one up in well, up here in Georgia, and their oatmeal cookie that they had, kind of like my wife's bread, was like iconic. They People would go for the oatmeal. I mean, it was a
There
charity,
you
but
go.
they loved the oatmeal cookies, at every stop.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
and they were good. We copied the recipe because they put the recipe out, and man, are they good. So,
Yeah.
but I don't know. I haven't. I stopped doing the cycling events up here in Cumming, Georgia, because I don't know if you know about Forsyth County, but it's the fastest growing county in Georgia, probably
Hmm.
in the nation, and everything, and it's super crowded. And what I don't like about some of the cyclists, they bring a $5,000 bike and then they don't want to
Yep.
spend $15 on lights. So here they
Yes.
are with a spiffy bike, no lights, and they're
Mhm.
traveling on a road that is overpopulated to begin with. And I don't know if
Yes.
you're riding along and somebody comes by you real close, especially, with the guys with the super swampers and they gun it up and it scares the heck out of you. You veer off, into the road. I mean, you're toast. I mean, so
Yep.
you have to have lights, and I just can't. So I stopped doing them in Forsyth County, and I said something that's too dangerous. So it's but down where you are and over by Spring Hill would be a nice place to have one. Except
Mhm.
with the Coochie is more, it's shadier than the
Mhm.
Suncoast. But I think don't they? I think they have one on Suncoast, if I'm not
They
for.
have one on the Suncoast. I've done it one time, and I know that that one, if you were doing the Century, they had a medal for the finishers of that one. It was a really cool medal with a bike chain around it, and they did require that you get, I think it was some kind of stamp at each of the SAG stations to confirm that you did that full distance. And they did have a cutoff time for the Century, but I forget
Oh,
who ran that one, but it was a neat medal, I remember.
yeah. The Suncoast is nice long trail, but
Yes.
as you know, it's not as shady as the Withlacoochee. But
Mhm. Mhm.
uh, I'm gonna find out where they're doing the construction on the Withlacoochee, because
Yep.
I think around Brooksville and south, I don't think they're doing any of that now. But I'll find out
Mhm.
about it.
Mhm.
So we'll see. So anything else hot on the running cycle here that you want to talk about?
I think we're
No.
finishing up for the year, like closing in on the end of the year. My goal for this year was to get 4,000 miles, and I'll let you know in a couple of weeks if I hit that. That's total miles, including cycling. I did Ironman Augusta earlier this fall and logged a lot of miles in preparation for that. So now it's kind of beginning to taper off. And then moving into a new year with a lot of running. I'm doing Big Sur Marathon and Chicago Marathon in 2022. So my focus is going to be a bit more running than triathlons in the upcoming year.
Well, I would like to complete a triathlon for my 70th birthday in June, but
Yes.
I've asked a few people to ride with me and maybe help me out with the relay, but I haven't gotten any takers yet. Some of my friends are so darn busy. I don't know. Do you find that also that people don't want to ride with you? No?
It is an issue. I must,
Go ahead, say something.
in terms of training, I am a solo trainer because everybody just has such different schedules and such different paces. And so I do ride alone, but relay is definitely an option. And all races seems to have
Okay.
relay options. So we'll keep that on the burner.
Okay. Okay, so when I post this to the 80 groups that I'm on, I got you down that a relay is an option. Okay.
Relay is an option, correct?
Okay. All right. And I promise I'll keep up with you. I bring a bungee cord and I'll just
Yes,
attach
there
it
you
to the
go.
back of yours so you can spring me up on a hill. Okay. So I might
There you
be
go.
100 yards behind, but the bungee cord will take me up and I'll be 10 feet behind you. It'll work. It works. I'm telling you. So,
Yeah, there you go.
all right, Sarah. Christmas vacation. When is the college out? Are they out now?
We're out now. We finished up last week. Public schools here in town and private schools finish up this week. So K through 12 is ending this week. And then we have off until the beginning of January. Yay.
Okay. All right. I wanted to show you, even though she has, I'm going to help her. Let me see where it is here. Um, this is what my wife Nancy's going to start making. Hold on.
I started before.
Ooh, she started. There it is. You see it?
Yay. So that's the world
No?
famous banana bread. Yes, I can see it. So the
Okay,
world
good.
famous
Yeah. So
banana bread.
that's
If
right.
you
We're
run
going to have
marathon
that and all.
training,
Right. We're going to have a bunch of those. Hopefully, it doesn't rain. One got soggy
yeah.
last year. But
Mhm.
we're gonna have fruit and all kinds of stuff. So that's the first one she made, and she's making a bunch more. So, all right,
Awesome.
it was good talking. Good talking to you. You have fun. I'll we'll see about next week or whatever because Chris is coming up, but we'll talk later. Okay.
Awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. See ya.